From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour. Local airlines decline signing Pilgrims airlift agreement over Sudan crisis as returnees share harrowing experiences. Military says operatives kill notorious terrorist leader and his lieutenants in Kebbi State. A 30-year-old neighbor is in police custody for raping a 5-year-old girl in Jos. Another foreign scene, heavy fighting in Khartoum as power struggle rages. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for joining. Now we'll begin with stories from the airlines. Local airlines selected to airlift Nigerian pilgrims for the 2023 Hajj have refused to sign a letter of agreement with the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria over the Sudan crisis. The representatives of the airlines include Air Peace, Asman Air, Max Air, and Aero Contractors. The signing of the airlift agreement, which was supposed to hold today, was therefore postponed till Tuesday as the airlines requested consultations from their superiors. However, the only foreign airline among them, Flynas, signed the agreement as it was allocated over 28,000 pilgrims, representing 40% of the pilgrims. Daily Trust reports that the Sudan airspace, which was shut due to the conflict in the country, will affect sub-Saharan pilgrims due to its short route to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, after a long, anxious wait, 2 planes carrying 352 persons from the Aswan Airport in Egypt landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on Wednesday night. Now, an Air Peace airplane conveyed over 270 Nigerian students, while a Nigerian Air Force plane C-1330 jet with about 80 persons on board also touched down minutes later. The returnees were ushered into the arrival wing of the airport amid heavy security presence. The report.
Coming after days of planning and the confusion in between, the evacuated Nigerians are finally back home, many too exhausted or traumatized to speak. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Sadia Umar Farouk, who was at the airport to receive the returnees, said they will be given 100,000 naira each to enable them reach their final destinations.
We're expecting about 350 have arrived, and we're expecting more than 1,000 that will come back. About 2,000 plus.
How soon would that be now?
Well, it's a continuous process. The first phase just started with the project manager. Going back and we're sending other jobs.
On the other hand, Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Ahmed Mustafa, explained that 4 aircraft were expected to arrive on Thursday, which will bring in almost 400 persons. According to him, Asman Air has joined Air Peace in the evacuation efforts. But all these official posturing are not the concern of the returnees, who are just thankful to be home.
Really, very hard. We are very stranded. And you see now my baby now, her eyes, she has problem with her eye. We slept outside the bus. There is cold, no food, nothing. Even though now I'm not feeling very well. So it's very hard.
We feel it is they are mandatory to do that because we are all Nigerians. And we have saw there each and every country is evacuating its citizens there. So this one is nothing new, but we are all thankful for their doings.
Many families can now heave a sigh of relief, seeing that their loved ones have safely returned home. However, there are still many others who are awaiting their relatives.
Now, on military operations, the Military High Command on Thursday reiterated its earlier warning to those planning to scuttle the May 29 handing over from President Muhammadu Buhari to the President-elect Bola Tinubu, saying that they should shelve the idea. It specifically said its officers are always on standby to forestall any unwanted happening in the country before, during, and after the transition built to hold at the end of the month. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Damadami, handed down this warning for the second time at the Defense Headquarters, Abuja, while fielding questions from journalists shortly after the bi-weekly press briefing. Also reacting to the issues of security in Kaduna, particularly southern Kaduna, Damadami urged residents of the state to detach the military from any form of sentiment. He said that the military is always ready to help, adding that any matter reported to the High Command against any of its personnel will thoroughly be investigated. No fewer than 14 terrorists, including their kingpin in the northwest zone of the country, have been neutralized by the troops of the Nigerian military attached to the Operation Hadarin Daji. The combined troops of both land and air components of the operation, who were on patrol combing forest in some villages in Danko Wasaugu local government area of Kebbi State, killed the terrorists during a gun duel. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Damadami, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja at a briefing, explained that the troops had sustained offensive operation on terrorist enclaves and camps in order to see their adversaries. Damadami told journalists that the troops also arrested at least 6 informants, giving the enemy's information on how to carry out attacks on innocent residents of some villages. He listed items recovered as 5 AK-47 rifles, 1 Dane gun, 6 AK-47 rifles magazines loaded with 25 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunition, 6 AGL bombs, and 3 cutlasses, among others. The Nigerian Army has rescued 2 missing Chibok girls with their children in its operation in Sambisa Forest. The theater commander of the Operation Hadin K, Major General Ibrahim Ali, at a press briefing in Maimalari Cantonment in Maiduguri, said the girls Esther Marcos and Hawa Malta were rescued by troops of Operation Hadin K last month. While handing over the rescued girls to the state government, the theater commander, Major General Ibrahim Ali, said it will not relent until the remaining girls are freed from the enclaves of Boko Haram. 16 of the Chibok girls have so far regained their freedom, while 94 are still unaccounted for.
Esther is 26 years old, Kibaku by tribe, from Jila in Chibok, local government area of Borno State. While in captivity, she was forcefully married to one Garba, also known as Garus, a Boko Haram terrorist fighter who was killed during operations, in particular, that Operation Hadin Kai remained resolute and determined in neutralizing all vestiges of terrorist elements as well as criminals marauding the northeast and return total and long-lasting peace to the region.
In a similar vein, troops of the Nigerian Army have rescued 2 out of the 3 humanitarian staff working with the Family Health Care International FHI 360, abducted by the fighters of the Islamic State of West African Province. Security sources disclosed this to Daily Trust on Thursday. 3 humanitarian workers and 2 security guards were abducted at the guest house of the NGO in Fotoko village near Gamburungala town, Borno State. One of the sources revealed that the 2 NGO workers were released on Wednesday, but one of the 8 workers and the 2 security guards were still in captivity. There is no official statement from the military or the organization since the news of the abduction broke out. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission have asked the Federal High Court in Abuja to dismiss a suit by Minister of State for Labour Festus Keyamo seeking the probe of ex-Vice President Atiku Abubakar. A spokesperson of the Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council filed the suit on January seeking the probe of the former vice president. Keyamo cited the allegation by Atiku's ex-aide Michael Achimugu, who said that the former vice president and ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo siphoned public funds using special purpose vehicles. On Wednesday, lawyers to the EFCC and ICPC, Samuel Okeleke and Obi Odogu, in separate objections, prayed the court to dismiss the suit. Okeleke said that Keyamo ought to have first obtained the leave of the court in seeking to compel a government agency to act. Justice Omotosho adjourned the hearing until June 5, 2023 for ruling on the preliminary objections. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections, Peter Obi, and his running mate, Datti Baba Ahmed, have been pardoned for attending a National Executive Council meeting organized by the Julius Abure-led faction held last month in Asaba, Delta State. The pardon was announced in Bauchi during the National Executive Council meeting presided over by the Bashiru Lamidia Papa-led faction of the Labour Party. Adamu Imam reports.
According to a communique issued at the end of the NEC meeting, the factional leadership of the party stated that one of the major resolutions of the NEC was pardoning and forgiving its 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, and the vice presidential candidate, Yusuf Datti, for attending what they describe as an illegal NEC meeting in Asaba. While responding to journalists after the meeting, the national factional chairman spoke on areas that led to the party's crisis.
Peter Obi joined us less than 1 year, and I'm 21 years old in the party. If he's commenting that he did not know me, definitely there's more to it. I don't need to elaborate on that, but you should all know who is a liar. Am I the one or somebody else a liar?
A 19-point communique was issued at the end of the meeting and jointly signed by the factional national chairman of the party and read by Arabambi Abayomi, the faction's national publicity secretary.
That anybody who has no respect for the law of the land, that person should not be guarded. And we have said several here that the purpose of our behaving the way we are behaving is because we believe in the rule of law. And for anybody who has forged documents and the court has directed that such a person should stop parading himself as officer of the party, definitely anybody who goes to that meeting is acting, maybe I will say, out of ignorance.
In the communique, the factional Labour Party leadership stated that its principals and others that participated in the meeting in Asaba acted ignorantly and in contempt of the FCT High Court restraint order. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The House of Representatives has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to develop a mechanism to remove deceased and fictitious voters from its register. This, it says, will make the election process more credible and transparent. The report.
This follows a motion from Leke Abejide, in which he observed that during the recently conducted general election, names of deceased persons were among those displayed on the list of registered voters. The House urged INEC to provide a software that could enable families to report the demise of their registered relations to effect deletion, adding the Commission should put in place a process to fish out multiple registrations during continuous voter registration exercises.
Know that in the last general election, it was glaring and crystal clear that people that were long dead had their names still displayed in the voters' register. Even my own deceased father, who passed on long ago, still has his name displayed on the board. Further knows that apart from dead voters, there are millions of fictitious voters who do not exist anywhere in this planet Earth, but have their names on INEC register of voters.
That you travel from here, from Nigeria to abroad, and you can unveil yourself on the time the election is going on, and you want such a person to be delisted. Mr. Speaker, I think such opinion and such assertion is not meritorious.
I think that wake-up call on INEC is a germane reason for him to call INEC to look into these issues. INEC should develop more sophisticated software that can remove these names.
And remember, Kogi is about to go into election, Edo and other states. Kogi, Bayelsa, and some states. Nothing bad to say enhance the system. Who is fearing what? I think anything that will improve on the electoral process, we should go for that.
However, all the lawmakers countered the motion, stating that it does not merit being urgent, as it remains a fundamental right for everyone to register for an election, irrespective of whether they voted or not, due to circumstances beyond them. Meanwhile, the Niger Delta Development Commission on Thursday presented a 2.2 trillion naira budget before the House of Representatives. The budget is to cover the years 2021, 2022 and 2023 to take care of the period the Commission operated without the Board of Directors. Presenting the budget before the committee, its chairman, Tunji Ojo, reminded the managing director and members of the board present that it is the desire of the committee that whatever budget is presented must be that which takes the general interest of the people of the region into consideration.
The role of NDDC is not just to provide succor, but the role of NDDC is to provide sustainability, to provide development, and to reshape the destiny of the Niger Delta region. I sincerely hope and I pray, because this is your first budget as a board, that under this board, you will go back, update your Niger Delta development plan, and implement critical projects that will add value to the lives of our people.
In his response, the Managing Director and CEO of the Commission acknowledged the cooperation received from the committee since the new management took over. He further went on to reel out the budget sum of over 2.2 trillion naira, with a breakdown of 2021 standing at 485.7 billion naira, 2022 at 928.2 billion naira, and 2023 at 876 billion naira, respectively.
Actual expenditure amounted to 157 billion naira from June 1st, 2020 till March 31st, 2021. This comprises 20.7 billion for personnel, 6.6 billion overheads, 814 million internal capital, and 129 billion capital, putting the performance at 35%.
The Commission later dissolved into an executive session after officially presenting the budget proposal. The chairman further highlighted his earlier position that the budget must work for the Niger Delta people.
That was established to bring succor to the people of the region, and we expect nothing short of that. So we have told them this is a budget of renewed hope. It has to bring back hope for the people of the region. So we want to see viable projects. We don't want to see monkey box projects. We want to see viable projects that we as a people can be proud of.
The Niger Delta Development Commission Board was fully commissioned on the 4th of January 2023 after 3 years of crisis.
The renovation and upgrade works at the Diko College, Katsina, embarked upon by the federal government has been abandoned, rendering academic activities passive. Diko College, popularly known as Government College Katsina, which is one of the premier colleges in the northern Nigeria, is the alma mater of President Muhammadu Buhari. The institution was considered for total renovation by the federal government in 2020. Abdullahi Amadi visits the college, where he met some old boys of the school who lamented the abandonment of the project by the contractor.
The contract was awarded by the federal government to a foreign contractor since 2020, with a stipulated completion period of 20 months only. The renovation work at the Diko College Katsina is at 60 to 70% completion stage, which forced over 5,000 students to be divided into morning and evening sessions, with academic periods shortened to 4 hours instead of 6. This is viewed as grossly affecting the already fragile academic performance of the students.
The President and Commander of the Armed Forces General Buhari is also a old boy of Government College Kaduna. It was very unfortunate to see this project is abandoned. Now look at the structure, look at the road network, look at the everything, the classroom, they are all abandoned. I'm appealing to the President and Commander-in-Chief to look at this critical school so that he will do something.
We are seriously worried about abandoning this project. The contractor should mobilize back to the site for him to complete this work. Our children are suffering. This is not good. It is totally unfair, sad, and unfortunate. We want this project to be completed before the expiration of the tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari. Greater percentage of classes, laboratories, workshops, assembly hall, computer room, and hostels remain unattended to and abandoned. With only few days to the expiration of the tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, Kaduna residents, particularly the old boys of the college, are worried about what will be the fate of the project after May 29.
We are following the events up to today, and we saw that the place was abandoned, and there was nobody trying to complete the work. So we said we will appeal to the President and the Minister of Education, Federal, to try and appeal to the CBN to complete the project immediately.
Similarly, fate of the school will continue to hang in the balance as residents call on the incoming administration of Bola Tinubu to complete and consolidate on the gains of Buhari's administration. Beside President Muhammadu Buhari, Kaduna College had graduated the likes of General Shehu Yar'Adua, former President of the Court of Appeal Justice Umaru Abdullahi, former IGP Ibrahim Kumasi, and former NNPC GMD Abubakar Yar'Adua, among many others. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Kaduna.
A 5-year-old girl, Amina Usman, has been defiled by her 30-year-old neighbor, Mukhtar Zakaria, in Ongwang Rimi community of Jos North local government area of Plateau State. The incident, according to the parents of the victim, occurred on April 20th when the rapist took Amina to an alley close to the area and defiled her. Ado Musa reports.
This is Amina Usman, a primary 1 student who was raped by her neighbor. According to the parents of the victim, this is the second time such incident is befalling the family. They have vowed not to take it lightly with Mukhtar. Narrating how the incident occurred, Amina's mother, Aisha Muhammad, said the suspected rapist had taken Amina out as a friendly neighbor who visited them frequently, but ended up defiling her. Mukhtar is our neighbor, and he sometimes eats from the house. I was busy with domestic chores when Amina went out. I was calling her to come back, but she refused. Unknown to me, he took Amina to a narrow passage and raped her. It was her elder sister, Khair, who had gone out on an errand that suddenly saw Mukhtar defiling Amina. We immediately reported the case to vigilantes who took him to the police station. The mother father says she is still traumatized due to the incident. I am still in pain due to what has happened to my daughter. Whoever is found guilty of offense should be punished accordingly. The father of the victim, Usman Ismail, described it as a painful experience. I am really saddened because this is not the first time such ugly incident is happening to my daughter. It has happened to her sister in the past. People then came and begged me to forget about it. I left everything. But this time, I will not leave it. I am calling on the authorities to do the needful to ensure that the culprit is punished. Although the police is yet to respond to Trust TV's inquiry regarding the incident, it was gathered that Mukhtar is currently at the Criminal Investigation Department of the State Police Command. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Stakeholders in Nigeria's health sector have committed to take actions that will counter the worsening diphtheria outbreak in Nigeria. This follows its growing spread, seen as one of the most severe outbreaks of diphtheria in Nigeria in recent years, with a high morbidity and mortality rate, especially among children. Noel Samson reports.
Diphtheria is a serious infection caused by strains of bacteria that make toxin. It can lead to difficulty breathing, heart rhythm problems, and even death. In Nigeria, the very first cases of suspected diphtheria in the latest outbreak were recorded in December 2022 in Lagos and Kano. At the time, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention officially declared an outbreak of diphtheria cases in Lagos and Kano states, which were the first to confirm the outbreak. The disease quickly spread to other states, institutions that left Nigeria witnessing an outbreak. This is why stakeholders are taking action to avert a further spread and its attendant consequences.
Nigeria already have the vaccine integrated into the routine immunization, so it is already integrated in the national plan. So all we have to do is to ensure that we are fully immunized and the children get the immunization as required according to the national schedule. This disease, as I said, is mostly in Kano, then Lagos, Osun and Katsina, and there's also some cases that is reported in Cross River. The government is still tracking to understand how much, what the severity of the disease is.
Some symptoms and preventive measures against diphtheria were elected in order to increase the awareness level of the disease among Nigerians.
Vaccination is really a key prevention method, and also key messages where the Nigerian Red Cross will be focusing their actions on to ensure that people that are at high risk, which are children under 5 years old, pregnant mothers, and also adults as well, for up to the age of 14 years old, and also over the age of that, who have not taken the diphtheria vaccine. So they are all encouraged to come out into the from their communities and go to the nearest health facilities and take the vaccines. I do suggest a declaration of a state of emergency for the diphtheria outbreak, because the uptake of routine immunization has suffered a lot due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and also increase and focus on COVID-19 vaccination. So there is a need for children that have not been vaccinated, even adults that have never taken the vaccines, to improve their vaccination intake.
They unanimously urged the federal government to declare a state of emergency against the disease before it gets out of hand. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at why displaced families embrace charcoal making business. Details and more after the break. Welcome back. This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a look at the top stories again. Local airlines declined signing Pilgrim's airlift agreement over Sudan crisis as returnees share harrowing experiences. Military says operatives killed notorious terrorist leader and his lieutenant in Kebbi State. Now, moving on, authorities in Jos North local government area of Plateau State and drivers in the popular Bauchi Junction Motor Park are disagreeing over the eviction of the park located in the area. The eviction followed a recent tanker explosion at the junction that killed about 13 people, with properties worth millions of naira destroyed. Ado Musa reports.
There was pandemonium when the chairman of Jos North local government area, Shehu Bala, stormed the Bauchi Junction with the task force team to decongest the area. According to the local government, it decided to evict the motor park and other kiosks in order to decongest the area because the extent of damage that followed the tanker explosion was as a result of the congestion in the area. The council is convinced that the presence of the motor park and other business activities close to the road is not safe for people living around the area, hence the need to carry out the decongestion. However, the move to decongest the area has resulted to heated arguments between the local government and the drivers. We are not happy with this decision because the chairman hasn't spoken about the major problem that causes accidents in the area. The major problem is for government to construct a flyover and dualize the road from Jos to Bauchi. I am a member of this motor park. I'm not happy with what the local government is doing. There is no justice in making such decision. An alternative should be provided before removing us here. I lost my new vehicle in the incident and government hasn't done anything about it. But in his response, the local government chairman says the decision was done for the good of the people.
Forward is that we've discussed. I think the most important is to understand that security and protection of lives and property are paramount to any other interest, which we also are on the same page towards that. We've agreed to curtail future occurrences of the MFNO and also even to congestion. It's even a security threat because you can see that people are even taking advantage of, of this issue, the phone snatching and other criminality. So when we have the congestion and we are working in synergy between the local government and the union, I think we will go a long way in congesting the place. Meanwhile, the Jos North local authority have already put in place a communique will be addressed to the executive governor of Plateau State, through him to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so that we equally have a flyover here, which is going to be a very permanent solution to this problem. And I know His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Plateau State, the listening governor will actually do it. Thank you.
The popular Bauchi Junction connects virtually all states of the Northeast. As a result of its ever-busy nature, there have been several reports of accidents around the area, claiming lives and destroying properties. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
In April 2022, the Nigerian Senate passed a bill imposing jail terms of at least 15 years for paying a ransom to free someone who has been kidnapped and made the crime of abduction punishable by death in cases where victims die. With the recent surge in cases of abduction, Nigerian citizens are urging the government to implement the law, as those who pay ransom to kidnappers do it out of fear of losing their lives and those of their loved ones. The report.
In a bid to discourage the rise in the spate of kidnapping and abduction for ransom in the country, Nigerians have urged the federal government to ensure proactive implementation of the law imposing jail terms against those paying ransom to kidnappers. However, victims who find themselves in a desperate situation as a result of lawlessness cannot reasonably be expected not to break the law as they seek a way out for themselves and their loved ones. Nigerians in Lagos want citizens to establish relationships with personal security agencies to enable them report crimes and criminals promptly.
I believe that if anybody has such a situation, he or she should report to the police. The police are competent enough to help out. Yes, they may have been threatened that if you do so, that the person may be killed or whatever, but still trust in the competence of the police.
Public Relations Officer Adejobi Olumoyiwa at a press briefing in Lagos on Wednesday called on citizens to cooperate with the police to reduce the increasing rate of kidnappings in the country.
And the psyche of an average kidnapper is to work on the mentality and psyche of the victim or the relations of victim, and to put fears in their minds, to demand for ransom, to negotiate with them. They tell them not to work with security agencies, particularly the police. But this is not good in any way. If today the victims and relations of victims work with the police and security agencies, definitely kidnapping will go down in this country.
Nigerians, they are ready to cooperate with the police and other sister agencies in the fight against crimes, but they worry about the response time when emergency calls come through. They suggested ways kidnapping can be reduced while working with the police.
My advice to the government is for them to always stand on their toes, be proactive in tackling this issue. If they bring out a policy to tackle it, let them make that policy work. Not that they will bring a policy to tackle the kidnapping and at the end it will not work. The policy, the program will collapse just like that. So the government should be proactive and they should act fast or get another means of fighting this kidnapping on the part of the government.
We have our laws that we enforce, but the laws alone cannot do it. We cannot always rely on kinetic ways or approaches of tackling kidnapping in this country. We need to consider non-kinetic approach to tackle kidnapping in this country. But majorly, victims have a lot to do. Relations of victims have a lot to do. Community have a lot to do.
Many are hopeful that with improved funding and strengthening of security personnel through the provision of necessary logistics, cases of kidnapping will be drastically reduced.
Nigeria's northwestern state of Katsina has gone beyond grappling with the security challenges in recent times to dealing with a climate disaster, which is exacerbated by the cutting down of trees in areas battling insecurity. Displaced families are joining the business of charcoal production, which involves cutting down of trees, which experts say has led to the decline in the quality of the environment. Jamil Mabai in this report tells the story of how a displaced father joined the business of charcoal production to make ends meet.
Hudu is a father of 4 from Babeni community in Kankara local government. Came to this makeshift camp in Mabai 3 years ago. With him are hundreds of families that share the same pain, displacement by bandits. Some of these displaced families are turning to cutting trees to produce charcoal as a means of survival. This decision is driven by the fact that they are running out of options. This practice, while providing a source of income for these families, is destructive to the environment, as deforestation is responsible for about 10% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, which contribute to climate change. Trees of 100 years of existence are being cut to produce charcoal. When you cut down a tree, carbon emission is produced due to burning of the tree to get charcoal. Ideally, instead of the tree to absorb the carbon, it now produces the carbon. Then the charcoal are taken to homes for domestic use, releasing another carbon into the atmosphere. This is the disaster we are facing. I followed Hudu to the forest. Are you not affected by the smoke? The smoke is disturbing, but we have no option than to get used to it. The process is rigorous and destructive to the health and ecosystem. Experts say trees play a crucial role in absorbing carbon emission and produced oxygen. Absence of trees leads to destruction of environment. Charcoal production involves cutting down of trees and burning them in a low oxygen environment to create a carbon-rich substance that can be used for cooking and heating. The process releases large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming and climate change. Whenever there are tree scarcity, it will result to flooding, weather anomaly, and soil erosion. The trees prevent soil movement from eroding. One Kabiru Kakumi introduced me to this business before normalcy is returned back in our community. The displacement of these families is a result of conflict and insecurity in the region, highlighting the interconnectedness of social and environmental issues. The lack of economic opportunities and the access to basic resources has forced families to resort to unsustainable practices that further exacerbate the environmental crisis. Research has shown there are no artificial remedy that can absorb carbon emission than trees do. This can include promoting agroforestry, which involves planting trees alongside crops and providing access to clean energy sources. Jamil Mubay, reporting for Trust TV, Katsina.
The Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has inaugurated the State Independent Electoral Commission with a charge on them to discharge their duties in accordance with the oath of their offices by conducting free and credible local government elections. Meanwhile, the opposition People's Democratic Party has described the inauguration as belated, saying it will soon make its position known on whether to take part or not.
The 16 local government areas in Kwara State are being run and administered by transition implementation committees for the past 3 years. In order to ensure that democratically elected politicians take over the affairs of the council, the Kwara State Governor has inaugurated a 7-member electoral body with a charge on them not to be biased but discharge their duties in accordance with the oath taken.
Today's inauguration of the chairman and members of the Kwara State Independent Electoral Commission officially kicks off the process for the conduct of local government elections in Kwara State. I charge all of you to consider this as an important duty to our state. I also assure you of our full support to conduct local government polls, which will usher in new leadership, specifically at the grassroots level.
The new chairman, Okanla Baba, assured of the readiness of the members to conduct free, credible and transparent local government elections that will reflect the wishes of the people. The chairman of People's Democratic Party in a reaction described the inauguration as belated, adding that it should have been done more than 3 years ago. The party, he says, will soon meet to decide whether to take part in the election or not.
There's no way SIEC will need about 5 to 6 months for preparation. I think based on the constitutional arrangement, about 3 months will be given to various political parties to get prepared. Before SIEC can organize any election in Kwara State now, I want to give them like 5 to 6 months. I think my home party, our push is that though it's belated, but we are happy that SIEC is in place.
With the inauguration of the Kwara board, the people of Kwara State are eagerly awaiting the election dates to be announced by the Commission.
The People's Democratic Party, Osun State Chapter, on Wednesday elected new state executives as the internal crisis rocking the party subsided. The State Congress was held at the Osogbo City Stadium, where 39 state executive members were elected unopposed. The report.
Members of the People's Democratic Party in Osun State converged at the Osogbo City Stadium for the party's State Congress, where 39 new executive members were elected unopposed. Sunday BC was elected as the new chairman of the party, with Yakubu Kasali as deputy, while Bola Ajao was elected secretary. Delegates and members of the party expressed satisfaction with the smooth conduct of the Congress.
We are so happy that the Osun State PDP has new elected leaders, starting from the chairman of the party, Honorable Sunday Busi. We members of the party are so happy because we have been expecting this defense to happen and it eventually come to reality. I'm sure the chairman, Honorable Sunday Busi, is well loved by everyone, even those ones that are good. Sometimes we will bring everybody together in love and things to move on.
The immediate past chairman of the caretaker committee of the party, Akindele Adekunle, and other PDP chieftains urged members of the party to support the new leadership.
We have been able to stabilize the party. Where we came in, there was a lot of crisis, and we're happy that we step in and we have been able to stabilize that. My advice for them is to be steadfast. As I said in my speech, they should be cohesive and at every time engage themselves and resolve their differences.
We have sat down among ourselves to select the best of the best for this position. And this is why you see everybody coming to endorse the expo. So we are praying for support and we are calling on all and sundries. Those that agree, let everybody come back to this party.
The new state secretary of the party, Bola Ajao, said the party leadership would work with the state government to ensure delivery of dividends of democracy to the people of the state.
So it's the time for the party to be in the vanguard of the government, providing this much needed dividend of democracy for the Osun State people. So it's a win-win situation for our party and the government. The synergy must be there to ensure that the much talked about democratic dividends are provided to Osun State.
The state governor, Ademola Adeleke, who was also at the Congress, urged all members of the party to support the new executive in a bid to succeed.
The 2023 edition of the annual World Press Freedom Day made it 30 years since the proclamation of the day. The 30th anniversary focuses on human rights with the theme Shaping a Future of Right, Freedom of Expression as a driver for all other human rights. In the spirit of the celebration, the big question in the minds of Nigerians is whether or not the press is really free in the country. Ibrahim Ismail interacted with some journalists in Gombe State on the development and now report.
And threatening freedom of expression.
According to the United Nations Secretary General, freedom of the press is under attack in every corner of the world.
While journalists and media workers are directly targeted on and offline as they carry out their vital work. They are routinely harassed, intimidated, detained, and imprisoned. At least 67 media workers were killed in 2022, an unbelievable 50% increase over the previous year. Nearly 3/4 of women journalists have experienced violence online, and 1 in 4 have been threatened physically. 10 years ago, the United Nations established a plan of action on the safety of journalists to protect media workers and then the impunity for crimes committed against them. On this and every World Press Freedom Day, the world must speak with one voice. Stop the threats and attacks. Stop detaining and imprisoning journalists for doing their jobs.
With the growing concern over the safety of journalists and press freedom globally, some journalists in Gombe State had diverse views.
To me, it's something that is enviable in Gombe State because the journalists enjoy some form of level playing ground, and there are no muzzles whatsoever to what we do here. We have been given the ample ground to practice as journalists and to access information whenever and wherever we go to.
Security men, they will not allow you, because at times they need you to identify yourself. Even if you identify yourself, but at times we have quarrel between journalists and security. What I'm appealing now, I appealing to security agencies to know that we journal media practitioners, we are partners in progress.
The Nigeria Union of Journalists, Gombe State Council, said journalists face multiple challenges, including limited access to information.
We face a lot of impediments in the course of our duty. We face security challenges, we face environmental challenges, and all kinds of challenges that impact negatively on our duty.
While the rights of journalists is at stake in different parts of the world, the theme for 2023 World Press Freedom Day is shaping a future of rights, freedom of expression as a driver for all human rights. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Time now to take a look at business updates with Shamaka Nwafo.
The Nigerian Employees Consultative Association, NECA, has warned that the recent plan by the federal government to increase taxes is counterproductive as it will aggravate the current rate of unemployment. NECA added that it will also encourage smuggling and discourage foreign direct investment (FDI). This was disclosed in a statement by Adewale Smart Oyerinde, the Director General of the NECA in Abuja. Oyerinde was reacting to plans by the FG to lift duties and levies. NECA urged the federal government to suspend the increase in excise duty and the introduction of new taxes and levies across board, citing that the business climate is not ready for it. Last week, the federal government introduced a new set of taxes on alcoholic beverages, imported vehicles and single-use plastics in its new tax regime. The government has also added to the list of items banned from being imported into the country with about a month to the end of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. Additional taxes are to be levied on motor vehicles with a 2% new tax on 2-litre engine vehicles, while 4-litre engine vehicles will attract a 4% new tax. And finally in stocks, the Nigerian equity market on Thursday closed higher as the All-Share Index advanced by 0.16% to settle at 52,290.75 points. Investors gained 45 billion as the market capitalization was up by 0.16% to close at 28.472 trillion naira. The local burs recorded 33 gains led by Mutual Benefits Assurance PLC against 18 losers led by Linkage Assurance PLC to close the market breadth positive. An aggregate of 1.27 billion units of shares were traded in 5,963 deals valued at 7 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chamaka Nwafo.
On the foreign scene, gunfire and explosions gripped Khartoum for a 20th straight day on Thursday, leaving the latest ceasefire effort in tatters a day after UN Chief Antonio Guterres acknowledged the international community had failed Sudan. As the latest ceasefire expired at midnight Wednesday, the regular army said it was ready to abide by a new 7-day truce agreed with South Sudanese mediators, but there was no word from its foes in the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. We'll now take a look at sports update with Adeni Ajishafe.
The National Women's Volleyball Camp, under the guidance of the Technical Advisor of Nigerian Volleyball Federation, Alexandra Butkovic, has been rounded off. The camp, which closed on Monday, had 15 players from various clubs in the Nigerian Volleyball Premier and the Division 1 leagues at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium to improve their skills and techniques ahead of major championships. The chairman of Nigerian Volleyball Coaches Association, Elisha Elam, who doubles as the head coach of the Nigeria Under-19 girls team, led 4 other FIVB coaches to mentor the players. The president of the Nigerian Volleyball Federation, Musa Nimrod, revealed that the national camp is part of the training programs set aside by the technical advisor. Nimrod said the national camp will help improve the tactical aspect of the players, adding that it has an advantage for some of the players participating in this month's African Club Championship in Tunisia. He urged the coaches present to transfer the knowledge gained at national camp to their various academies and clubs. And in athletics, Sports Minister Sunday Dare is full of commendation for Team Nigeria athletes to the just concluded Africa Under-18 Under-20 Athletic Championship in Ndola, Zambia. The athletes won 17 gold, 10 silver and 9 bronze medals to finish second place on the medal table behind South Africa. Nigeria competed at the meet with 41 athletes, while South Africa presented over 100 athletes for the competition. The minister told the athletes to stay focused, disciplined and continue to pay attention to their careers so that opportunities to represent the country in bigger competitions can come their way. Nigeria's second place finish in Zambia's is an improvement on a third place finish at the previous edition of the championship held in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. That's Sport News. I'm Adeniyi Ajishafe.
And it's a wrap on the News Hour for tonight. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ile. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.